Hello everybody, this is Chris Atkinson from the SinCast. The following recording is a mini-pod that we recorded during Sin Week for Bloodshot. At the end of this, there will be some discussion concerning movies in the age of coronavirus that will be out of date. That's how fast everything is moving. We didn't know theaters were going to shut down after this, we didn't know how serious everything was about to become, and we're going to sound like dicks. And we are, but that's besides the point. So if one day you guys have kids, and one of them, when he's 8 years old, accidentally sets fire to the living room rug, go easy on them, okay? All that to say, I hope everyone is practicing proper social distancing and hand washing and not touching their face, and I hope everybody's doing well. Without further ado, here's the Sin Week mini-pod of Bloodshot.
I maybe just broke Sin Week and I'm sorry. Is this not something we talk about?
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
That's me.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Sher.
Yo.
And the so-called B-Team, Jonathan Watkins.
Hello.
And Aaron Dicer.
Idly ho,
And
Centipede.
Danae Hughes.
I'm a girl.
And today we're doing a mini-pod
Bloody pod.
of
Bloody
Oh.
pod.
Bloodshot.
I guess it's better than. I guess it's better than
I do
Shoddy
that
Pod.
every time.
That's true.
It should not have been a surprise.
Yeah.
No, it's
Not-
just where you went with it, I guess.
We're doing a mini-pod of Bloodshot. Last year we had us at Sin Week. This week we have Bloodshot. Will it be as successful? Only time will tell. Okay, so what did you guys think of Bloodshot? The Vin Diesel
Let's let
vehicle.
the idiots go first, like the ones that
Oh,
liked
hi.
it. I'm sorry.
Who liked it?
Barrett did. At least he indicated.
Oh, yeah,
he
that's right, because you
liked
guys gave away your opinions on Twitter last night. That
it. Well,
makes
he
sense.
did, and he sort of did, and I definitely did.
All right, look. Okay. All right. Hold on. Okay. It was. I had fun.
That's good. I'm glad that you didn't try.
I
to go
had
for
fun. No.
more than
I
that.
had fun. Okay. There's a few things this movie has going for it. It has a higher than normal comic book movie concept. All right. Some of the normal tropes were subverted, which I appreciated. It has probably lesser than average CG, especially when it comes to the fight scenes. I had fun with it. I thought there was stuff to like. There were stretches that were weirdly boring, including the action sequences, weirdly enough.
like an hour and 45-minute boring stretches.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a little bit better than your standard average non-MCU fare. Yeah, I had a good time. I was also, we always put this in the context in which we're the mood that we're in when we see a movie, that kind of thing. We were with all of you guys. I was with my buddies. I was trying to distract myself from news and stuff like that. I think I was looking to have a good time.
All right.
And it
Yeah,
delivered
totally.
enough of it. This is not a good movie.
Okay, good. That's all I wanted to hear you
I
say.
had fun with it.
What I wanted to say is, if you don't know how to shoot or edit action, the fuck are you making an action movie for?
Totally agree.
Like, the MCU looks at this movie and goes, man, we are the kings of editing fight scenes.
It's horrible.
I couldn't follow any action scene at all in terms of who was doing what and why, and it just felt like somebody who had never made an action film before.
And that's the person that was like, I know what'll make it interesting. Flour.
Well, this was. So this was.
Man. That scene. That scene starts with him walking through flour like it's the most important thing to ever happen in cinema.
I know. Like, well, there are a lot of self-important
So this
shots
is
in
Dave
movie.
Wilson, real quick. This is his directorial debut.
Oh, no.
He's a visual effects guy. He worked on Love, Death, and Robots, Avengers: Age of Ultron,
Well,
and
that
a
explains
and a bunch of video games.
All right. Well,
it. Yeah,
I mean,
that all explains it.
I would
Yep.
not make my first movie an action film with several hand-to-hand combat scenes if I didn't know how to do that. And that was the biggest problem with the whole film for me.
Did you ever see Dolomite Is My Name?
Not quite yet.
So there's a point in there where Wesley Snipes' character is directing Eddie Murphy's character, and it's the first fight scene, and he's swinging. You know, he's an old man, and you can tell he's not landing anywhere near them, and they're falling down and everything. and Wesley Snipes' character is drunk, and he's like, "Is there any way we can cut or shoot this where it looks like he's actually fighting?" And they're like, "No." And that's what it looks like. It looks like Vin Diesel like was all gnarled up and everything, but like he could only throw one punch before getting tired, so he would like take a breather, and then they filmed him doing another punch, but then edit it all together.
I'm tired of this Vin Diesel persona that he has to have in every
Yeah.
movie. This action where he's just he's always got to talk about how tough he is.
I always come home.
Yeah, and just like, you better hope you kill me because I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna kill you even more than you killed me. That's the type of things that I get tired of with Vin Diesel in general. It's that like, I know you're not just a meathead.
Yeah.
I know you're not, but because you look the way you do, they always give you those kind of lines.
They did give him that moment, in the CGI created universe at the end where he's like, I'm more than just this repeated thing. I want to break it. That was close. That was
that's
closer.
true. That's
he
true.
kind of got
But
there a little bit.
If that was something as sort of a meta comment on his own career or anything,
It was
yeah,
bad.
yeah.
That you make a good point, because this is like watching Stallone in the late 80s and just being frustrated as hell, because Vin Diesel is a really good, like, he's intelligent as hell. Like, he's really smart. He's a really good writer. He's apparently a really good director. I know he got into all this making short films. He's a smart guy. And even early on, he did like the Sidney Lumet film that was pretty interesting. He did,
Find Me Guilty.
yeah, he did Boiler Room.
But then it makes you kinda wonder.
And he even said no to Fast and the Furious sequels. He wasn't going to do those. He wasn't going to do that. And then, of course, after he did Riddick, I feel like maybe he kind of, he did the sequel to that. That didn't do well. He did like A Man Apart, didn't do well. So then I think he felt like he kind of had to get back into Fast and Furious. And then that took off.
Yeah.
And then now we have what he thinks everybody wants to see.
He
and
may
it's just-
be
it's
very well
frustrating.
trapped in that whole
Yeah.
thing because of the way he looks, unfortunately. And it's. I mean, if you find the work where you can find it, but man, I'm just tired of hearing him do those macho lines.
Yeah.
Man, I'm so tired of it.
He's got two speeds. He's got mumbly, grumbly, and he's got shouty.
And granted, there are reasons for this we find out later, which we'll get into in spoilers, but like when he comes back from the mission or whatever, like he's the only one that's got a girl waiting for him. And he's like got to say to the guy, this is why we come back. And, it's just like everything is centered around. It's kind of like The Rock. I mean, The Rock does this shit too, where he makes it all, he kind of focuses everything on him. And while this movie did have some interesting supporting characters, typically that's who gets left to the side. And, and it just, I don't know. It's not an interesting thing. Like, I feel like, I don't know. It's just not very interesting.
Yeah.
I think this movie's terrible.
Okay.
And I do like to start with the good things I can find. And I think, Barrett, the thing you said that I zoned in on is the world building and the concept. There's actually a seed of something that could be really interesting here. I am on the record as like, put mechanical stuff in me, like make me a robot. Like, I love that idea that science will be able to figure out, bio, kind of stuff. Well, I mean, I have actually a machine in me now after my heart episode, right?
There you go.
Like, this idea that we can, enhance ourselves in that way is fascinating to me. So that would be fun to explore. I think, the problem is this movie has no interest in actually being clever about how to explore that. It uses it as an excuse to, I guess, try to make an action movie and just do all the things that action movies are, all the boxes that they're supposed to check, and just do it all poorly. So,
Am I the only one that thinks this would have made a better show than a movie? Like, I feel
Possibly.
like everything happened super fast in this movie.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that there's an interesting idea here. There's literally fucking hundreds of issues of comic books that they,
Right.
I mean, this is an adaptation. So yes, there's a ton of shit they could have done.
Well, they didn't even really do the meta stuff enough. Like, the idea of the first thing that we see. Well, we're not in spoilers necessarily yet, are we? So
No, but
we'll get to those
Let's
soon.
get there soon.
So anyways, but there's a meta concept to this that could have also been really interesting, and they're not. They weren't interested in the same things I would have been interested in seeing more of and thinking more about.
Well, fuck that movie. Then.
Yeah, let's go ahead and grade it and go into spoilers. I think if there are people out there who listen to our mini pods just to hear the grade, if they haven't seen the movie yet and they don't want to hear the spoilers, then we should just get into spoilers as soon as we can. So let's just go ahead and grade it. Barrett?
I give it a C+. That's enough for me right now.
Okay. Okay.
I'm actually going to give it a C. I don't think it's terrible, but it's not good. It's a very, very just average movie.
C minus.
Yeah, I'm C- as well.
This is my least favorite grade, C-. My least favorite movies are C-. Does that make any sense? No.
Your least favorite grade is C-?
Yeah, because it's more fun to talk about a movie that you think is an F or even a D. Like C- is just, C-.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
What are you giving that 6% that you watch?
I don't know how to grade it. It changes for me a lot, but it's in the C's somewhere.
Did you like it at all?
You know, it made, and I'm forgetting the actor's name right now, but the guy who plays the Winifred Winan, whatever his name was.
Lamont Moore?
Guy Pearce?
Lamont
Morris.
Lamore Morris,
Yeah.
yeah,
Lamore
who's
Morris.
from Game Night and who, for some reason, does this with a British accent.
Yeah.
As we were discussing last night, he's
American,
an American
right? Yeah.
actor, so he's doing the Don Cheadle thing from Ocean's 11 and everything. But he almost saves this movie.
Oh, yeah, he's a bright
No,
spot
I think
for
that's
sure.
why I'm giving it a C.
Yeah.
I think he's 100% why I'm giving
Right.
it a C. 100%.
Did you find him funny?
Oh,
Not
Yeah.
not as funny as these guys did. Maybe
the,
it was our theater. I felt
Whoa. blame your
Whoa,
theater.
wow,
I
don't
blame
blame
your
the
theater.
people we watched the movie with.
Bunch of humorless
Oh,
pricks.
No, listen, if you don't think the group you watch something with has an impact on how, like, because we weren't laughing at those moments. Maybe
Oh,
they were
you're right.
laughing at those
Oh, we
moments.
were.
and
We were all
dying.
asleep in that window.
There were a
That's
couple
right.
of them we laughed at.
The
There were a
I
couple
have
of
to
those
get
moments,
more
but-
friends moment was hilarious.
So it might have been partially that, but also there was a lot of try hard to it, and maybe it was because the rest of it was so dull to me. It just felt like it stood out in a weird way that was
You could see the
disconnecting.
rest of them not trying.
Yes,
so I'm
yeah,
trying.
yes,
So
exactly. That's
it's
fair.
almost
That's
interesting
fair.
that we were the ones who laughed and thought that kind of brought it up, but they still gave it a C-.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What did you like?
yeah. So let's go on to spoilers, and if you're watching or listening, get the fuck out.
Kevin Spacey is Kaiser Soze.
Miss Luke's father is actually Darth Vader. She's the sister and the daughter. They just
No. I'm reading the books.
Hey, can I start off with a question?
Uh-huh.
At what point does Guy Pearce bring him in? Because what we see at the beginning of the movie is a fugazi, right?
Yeah.
Because those are the constructed memories. But
Yeah.
he has died.
I
don't
think
know.
I
We
think
don't
it's
know.
in the middle because there's a point where he sees all the people he's killed in that same scenario.
Right.
And there's multiple. There's more than two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He-
yeah, yeah.
So I think it's in the middle.
I think it's 5 years ish. At least
But
somewhere
he
in the last
died
5 years.
before that.
Yeah.
That whole thing even happened.
Here's the
right?
most disappointing thing to me as someone who's read a lot of the comic is that the comic is very much centered around a lot of it is centered around the mystery of who he is, why he died, and why they're doing what they're doing.
So we're
with
not
them.
supposed to know, even though the movie doesn't go out
Well,
of its way to tell us that. We're not really supposed to.
To skip to the ending, though, but I don't think the movie gives a shit because at the end, Vin Diesel says, "Oh, our past don't matter," and that's when I was just kind of like, "Fuck you!"
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
clearly, this is just all about Vin Diesel punching people,
Mm-hmm.
and the mystery aspect they just are choosing to just fucking ignore.
Okay.
which is really annoying.
I do have
because
a question.
that'd be interesting
Yeah.
to me.
Because my husband decided to talk to me at a very crucial moment in the movie, and I have no idea why he turns red. Because he was talking to me right
Why
when
he
they
turned
explained
red?
it.
Like when he gets the glowy thing?
Yeah.
It turns like kind of bluish silver,
That's
whatever.
when
Is
his
it-
like nanobites
Yeah.
are like going out or like losing power.
You didn't
or
miss
something.
anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that
he
is
was
a-
explaining like they had to have energy or be
Yeah.
Do you
replenished somehow.
remember the mouse dying when you got all sad?
It was
Remember that?
really sad.
Okay, that was a foreshadowing. That was foreshadowing the idea that the nanites have
But
heat
they
that
have-
they put out and power that they put out, and they can't.
So he was overusing
Right.
his nano powers.
Technically,
Okay.
they said overclocking his
That's
nanites,
right. That is what they
which
said.
I found to be a bit of irresponsible techno-babble.
So he essentially is eternal. right?
If he doesn't overclock, I guess.
But he did. He
But that's the
overclocked
thing, at the
with
end,
a bomb.
Wiggins says he's overclocking. If he gets down to 0, I won't be able to save him. Then he just saves him after that.
And he gets where he's like, I'm just, I can't remember what his name was. Or he's like, I'm just Adam, whatever. And then he explodes. So So how did they put him back together? Ray. Yeah.
And
Ray
at
Getz
that point,
or
he's
whatever.
supposedly not even Nano Guy anymore,
Yeah,
right? Because the bad guy says, "Now you're just Ray," and he goes, "That's enough." And then he should literally explode.
And that's one of those things.
How do they put all the atoms back together to make another Vin Diesel body?
Are you questioning what Vin Diesel's body can and cannot do?
Definitely questioning what Vin Diesel's body can.
I do have another, like, the moment whenever he realizes he's got, like, superpowers, I don't understand. It's just not for me, I guess. Do people like watching swole dudes work out?
Yes.
Really? Okay, because there's like
Do
this.
you even lift,
There's
bro?
right, and he's just over there, and it's like, what else is he gonna lift?
bro?
And then he goes over to potentially like a load-bearing beam and just starts beating it. I'm like, what are you?
I mean, I think that's a pretty typical comic book origin thing, though. People, they're trying to figure out their strengths. Like Spider-Man's trying to figure out
that's
what
true.
he can do on the like how far he can do with
It was
the web.
pure Unbreakable for me when I saw it.
Oh no, it was absolutely unbreakable. Made me want to be watching Unbreakable.
Yeah, he's like lifting the thing with like the absurd
I'm wondering
amount of
why
weight.
he's even working out. My God, you got nanites, dude. Go watch a movie.
That's your Captain America on a punching bag
Exactly.
thing.
Why does he
like-
even need to work
Well,
out?
I think he's just figuring out how much strength he has. I don't know that he's
He
gonna
is, but he
continue
has
to do
that
it.
fucking
Yeah.
smile, and he does both arms like he's actually doing.
Oh yeah, he's going to be in there for hours. doing that.
I did go into Sinbrain for a second when he punched through that bag with closed fist and comes out and opens his hand and there's sand and I'm like, how did that sand get in his hand?
Yeah.
You know,
If you want to talk
sand
about,
can sift in there.
if you want to talk about Sinbrain, okay, so he realizes his wife might not have died,
right?
and Wiggins says, "Don't connect to the network, or they'll be able to track you. Use this phone. It goes to a satellite." He types in Gina Garrison.
I know, and it shows up.
Then goes and finds out that she's remarried 5 years ago and has kids. How did he find her? By searching for her under his own married name. His name is Garrison. Her name's not Garrison.
Maybe he took her name when they got together.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
There's no gravity in space.
I was like, because he typed in Gina Garrison, I was like, well, that was easy, right?
Right, right.
Google just pins a map for a person when you type their name in. But then he goes to see her and finds out that there's a 5 years thing, and I'm like, he should never have found her by that name.
Did she get remarried though? Do we know that she got remarried?
Well, even if she didn't,
because I
said-
know at least one person that I know has their original married name, but they've moved on with other people and they have other kids.
Well, and okay, I'm not trying to criticize real people. I'm just trying to talk about, like, he should not have been able to find her by searching for her by that name.
It was way too easy.
Well, and considering the technology that they're showing, which is like whatever it is God mode hacking.
Yeah.
What's he doing? What's he doing? He's finding which ones are in a convoy.
Yeah. But anyway, they type it. If you type, I mean, it's supposed. I mean, this movie is stupid, right?
Right.
They just put in the name, and then of course, if it doesn't come up with that, if that's not her name, it's going to come up with another name that she's on.
Yeah, my point is
how God mode it is.
He has to be surprised by the reveal at the front door that she's moved on. So he types Gina Garrison for the movie audience.
I get you.
So that we're not fooled.
Right.
I was also troubled by the fact that he kills the Barris dude, right? And then drives out in the car, and back at headquarters they're like, we're following, he's moving in the car, we got him. But they still aren't connected to him. But they're tracking him by satellite. That's how the two thugs know where to show up to beat him up.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they get there, one of the thugs goes, put a tracker on him. And they send some cameras up into the sky so they can track him. You got there by tracking him. What the fuck are we doing?
I thought the cameras were for the blind guy.
Well,
He was also
they
like
were.
directing him.
still.
Yeah.
By the way, that guy was, I mean,
That poor bastard. That poor motherfucking blind bastard.
right?
I was ready to root for that. It was Philip from the Ables, all grown up.
Yeah,
Oh,
what
okay.
a weird turn.
with tech and stuff. But he seemed genuinely nice. He seemed like he had a connection with Groot, and then he just fucking
Groot.
but he kind of like half-heartedly fought him at the end. But then he was trying to, and then he died.
Yeah.
Well,
I
and
told
and
you to
then
hang on, and he
the-
kicks him off the
well,
elevator.
the Sam Heughan character, the Dalton, the guy who becomes the Scorpion at the end of the movie. He yeah, he's just like he's at 100, like right from the get go.
Yeah. He's chewing the fuck out of that gum. Man.
There was we saw that Mystery Science not Mystery, whatever they do now. We saw the Night of the Living Dead. And one guy, and they're just like, I'm just going to stay at 100 or whatever. Yeah, that guy's just always like, that's who he reminded me.
It's almost like there was originally supposed to be like this team that they were going to really develop, but then they just said, fuck it, this is.
I also like how he's got like an Iron Spider exosuit, but he waits until the very last scene to use it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why wouldn't you use that when you went out to capture the dude? Like, now it's serious.
Well, he even makes the comment, though. He's like, we finally get to use this cool shit.
But that's dumb. Take it on the road. I know. You could have caught him in the halfway point of the movie.
Here's a question. Is Guy Pearce typecast now?
As Guy Pearce.
I didn't mind
him. Has played this in Prometheus.
Yeah.
He played this in Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
And now he's here. I mean, as soon as he showed up, and as soon as I saw his mechanical arm, I was like, oh, he's a bad guy.
Yep.
He's a bad guy.
He has the funniest moment in the movie, though, for me. It's a line delivery, but when the first time, before we know that, like, he's a bad guy, or, well, I mean, we know, but before the movie tells us he's a bad guy, and he's acting like, oh, like, you escaped, you got to come back, that whole bit. And then Vin Diesel makes the comment, I always come home. And then Guy Pearce is like, I always come home? What? The way he delivers that line, and I was dying.
I knew he was a bad guy with the line, you got yourself killed. Because if he was a positive person, he would have been like, well, you know, you died in combat or you were murdered. But he said, you got yourself killed, which is really indifferent. And then just a couple minutes later, I think he's when he talks about his strong arm and he punches a table. It's like, yeah that guy is not good.
I think they do a good job, though, of hiding the fact that, like, the Toby Kebbell character isn't, though. Like, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, that aspect of it, I think, is where they hide it well.
And
but
Toby
they reveal it 20 minutes into the movie.
Well, you kind of, I mean, to be fair, the way they're telling the story, you have to.
Well, yeah, that's why I think it would have made a better show. Like, because that's
Maybe,
interesting.
No, I would love to see this as a show.
I really thought too that at the end, so that, you know, Vin goes over and he's infiltrated the tech place too, and he goes up the top. And I really thought that it was going to be like she was also turned into like a bio person and he was going to meet her or something, like that there was two of them, that they were both going to have like this tech battle. That would have been pretty badass.
Going back to the Toby Kebbell thing, though, it just made me think of this because you're talking about being meta. I did find it interesting, though, that we find out that's like the tech guys, like what he wrote into the program.
Yeah.
That was his idea of like a villain where he's doing. So you see like the crazy dance and stuff, and you're like, what? I mean, I remember Chris was even like, what the fuck is going on?
Well, this is one of those things. This is why I said the meta stuff could
have
worked so well, because it is one of those things, like when we write sin scripts, right? Like where sometimes you write something, you have to go back. Oh, I get it now. Like there's stuff I'm thinking in that first scene. Like this is so cheesy and ridiculous, and
I sort of love the dancing,
the dancing or whatever. And it's like, oh, but that's because it's written. You know, that's actually kind of smart.
By a cheesy guy.
Yeah, because Guy Pearce is like, no, you've done enough. You've done enough cliches. The psycho killer, serial killer. Yeah. You know, he's just like,
I don't mind your scars. I just mind the stories. You know.
Yeah, there was something really up when you see a couple and they're shot in this particular way when we don't know that we're in a repeat, and they're both wearing like wedding white. You know something's gonna go wrong.
And I was like, this is
know it.
Such a cliche.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Fridging. Right, when the way the superhero gets their motivation is because a woman is in danger or killed or whatever. I was like, this is so cliche fridging, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, because Guy Pearce was like,
but then the movie comes back around at the end and does the real thing.
I know. Yes,
doesn't even know what it is saying.
Exactly.
I mean, to be fair, so does a movie like Deadpool. You know, it purports to do the same thing, and then it has that exact ending of a damsel in distress.
Yeah, there were a few things in that were super annoying. One of them for me, you've got the token beautiful female character who has like her underwater moment, which is definitely beautiful and cool. But then at the same time, it's the same thing. Okay, now he's going to be okay because he has another person to like live for or whatever. I found that to be really, really
they didn't get it on though.
I think she's got potential. I think there's something there with her too. Is that Isa Gonzalez?
Mm-hmm.
She has a scene in Hobbs and Shaw that really stands out. Like she's really, I mean
Yeah,
she's
because she's
beautiful,
just so badass.
but she's really badass, and she's only in that one scene. And then even in this, like I mean, she gets to be badass like in that one scene in this, and.
I think she was badass in mini scenes.
There's something about I'd like to see her like get
really
like
the whole team got short.
That's true.
That whole thing, like that could have been really awesome if they had just made it more. If they could have made a team aspect out of it, all of them doing their powers and everything. And instead, they just make it where everybody's at opposition to Vin Diesel because Vin Diesel's a one-man army.
So she's got fake digilungs that he controls with an Apple Watch. Why does anybody else stay and work for this asshole?
Okay, and there's this moment right when she's up there and he like cuts off her oxygen and is like killing her in front of people.
And they even look
and
concerned.
They're just like,
and I'm like, why do you come to work in the
They're
morning?
making millions, man.
Are they?
Yeah, man.
Even
An
that
envelope
secretary
full
girl
of
who
cash.
was talking about 6 inch when she made her.
Oh man, the shot to that woman shaking her head though.
Pretty funny,
God.
but why would a woman like that keep working for the devil? Like, even the two henchmen guys. Did they say something in the movie about money?
No, but I mean, I'm assuming because this is such a like well-funded outfit that these people are getting paid very well. If they were getting paid $5 an hour, they're not going to stand for murder.
That's true.
It's like
I guess that's true.
They're like
no,
Costco
but I feel
workers.
like even if you were paying me $1 million, I wouldn't stand for murder.
You're not them.
Okay, all right.
Since we're in that scene, there were two back-to-back moments that were kind of like we talked about triggers yesterday. There were two back-to-back triggers. One was when ultimate bad guy is like, now remember what we talked about, which they just talked about like 20 minutes ago. And I hate that in a movie. It's like, do you think that she doesn't have a brain and can remember that you just warned her and then we all saw you try to kill her? Like that was, I don't like it when they do that because it's just like, hey, dummy, do you remember that thing that I just did earlier where I almost killed you? And we talked about that thing and it was in front of a whole bunch of people. It pisses me off. But then it was right after that, she makes a dick joke. And I hate that in movies. I don't know how you guys feel about it. You have dicks. I don't. But like the whole thing where it's like 6 inches, blah, blah, blah.
It's not that much.
Yeah, it's
I
not that much.
hate that.
Yeah.
Well, also, statistically speaking, 6 inches is plenty.
That's it's not a great joke, but like I was just talking about that. The cut to the woman shaking her head though was awesome. Like that sells it a little bit
because
better.
the guy is actually looking for validation
which
from
is
one of the
weird.
women in the.
It's not a lot.
Yeah, she's just like,
I personally do. I'm
Is it
kind
the
of
dick
tired of
size?
God,
it.
you must
Or
hate
just
half
the
the
joke?
scripts we send you then.
All right, listen. I haven't just been with one person. Spoiler. One of the best partners I ever had a super normal dick, and he knew how to use it. And it pisses me off because it's just like normalized dick size. Like use what you got and learn how to use it well.
Thank you for coming to the MINIPOD.
Somebody literally just got up and left. I maybe just broke Sin Week, and I'm sorry. Is this not something we talk about? Can we not talk
get
about
this? Are you asking? Does it offend us?
it
to hear
offends
the
me.
jokes?
I don't know if it offends
Oh
you
no,
guys.
no! Somebody making fun of dicks. Does
No,
not offend me. I could care less.
No,
I've been married for
we're
15
used to
years.
it. Like,
I'm
that's-
doing all right.
I mean, you hear dick jokes when you're like 2 years old. Almost.
I know. I just think it's weird.
you
It's just a
like-
weird thing to me. It's always been a weird thing to
So
me.
what about vagina jokes?
They're rare,
Well,
right?
I mean, but the comparison would be boob jokes, right? Would be
It's
the
more
size
boobs,
of breasts.
yeah.
You
know,
say
like
vagina
if you
jokes
don't
are
have,
rare,
big enough.
But I've
breasts
read
or
enough
whatever.
Aaron Dicer.
So think of it. So
Cinemasins
think of it
scripts.
so think of it this way: if the joke was, a B cup's not a big size, and there's like, and went to a guy who's like that, that would be like we would find offense to that for women.
Yeah, that's
I think
not
she's
funny.
saying she's
Yeah.
finding offense to
Hey,
that
look.
for men. The idea
It's true.
that that's a joke, and that women would be like, I'm not.
And
gonna
I
look
just
at
I've been
decided-
with B cups before.
Yeah.
right, exactly.
One of the
And she
best
knows how to
lovers.
use them.
One of my best partners ever.
Exactly.
That's true, but also comedy is subjective, and it's like it works this way, but it doesn't work this way, and that's true for all comedy.
Correct, and also there's the element of privilege and power, right? Which why it can be, a joke can work going from one way to the other and not necessarily the other way
that's what I'm
back.
saying.
But I want to know, like, was this dude walking around the office, like, telling everybody, hey, I got 6 inches?
Right.
How did she know
Like,
that was a button she could press with that.
Well, because he
prejudice
wrote
would
that,
be,
he wrote that in the script. Like it was a big deal.
I
Like, can she
derailed
handle
us
the whole
all.
6 inches or whatever?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
true.
he wrote that into the script.
See, the movie's so bad, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
The stupid script.
I actually went further with it, thinking that he had slept with that woman that was shaking her.
I did too. I thought the same thing.
No.
Hey,
Now
we,
Aaron ruined it. Now it's
this-
not funny.
Sorry.
is this still a performance review? Is this still on today?
I mean,
Oh.
it's a constant
Shit,
performance
okay.
review.
Yeah. So you. No,
Great.
I'm not going to make that.
What else can we say that hasn't already been said about this movie?
I
Not much.
I actually did like part of it, like the whole idea of there being like a repeat thing, not sort of being. And I didn't read what we were watching beforehand, so that took me off guard. And just the subtle nod to how many times he put gum underneath his table.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Well,
clever.
see, he walks in and he says something and puts the gum under the table, and that's definite foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Because that's the scene where you learn this is all a repeat.
Yeah.
So there are clever touches here.
Yeah.
And it's a really good
It's
concept.
another Groundhog Day version.
It is
How-
kind
how
of
many
a
times
riff on
even
Groundhog
movies
Day,
do
yeah.
that.
Even
you know?
outside of the loop, Vin Diesel dies a lot in this movie. Like, there's so many shots
Yeah.
of him just shut him down, shut him down.
Yeah.
They pack a lot into it, and even though a lot of it's really cliche, it's because they packed so much, into it. A lot of it's expected. I think I'm with you, Barrett, in that there's just so much going on, so it was sort of interesting to just shut your brain off and watch something. Yeah. But ultimately, at the end, it was a little bit disappointing. It was kind of cool to see, like, red-eyed, whatever he had going on with his glowing
boy.
chest. That was
Yes.
kind of an interesting idea. Oh, but I really didn't like how also, what was the comedic relief guy's name? Wiggins.
Oh, Wiggins, yeah.
How he went from like bohemian dude in a beanie to like blinged out.
Yo, I don't
Also,
understand that at all.
So he kind of had some sort of transformation where he was super cool, I guess cliche cool dude too.
Yeah.
And he says, "I've removed all of your restrictions." So now it's like, okay, well then what is this going to be?
And he says, if you were a 3 before, now you're an 18. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's arbitrary right there.
That's a concrete knowledge 0.
Well, we're never going to find out.
0.9.
What a wild
And
ride.
we're never going to
though.
find out what it means because Vin Diesel said past don't matter. And
Good.
I think, as has been said before, it's unfortunate that this movie isn't so bad that we can talk about a lot of things
Right,
about
yeah,
how
yeah,
bad
yeah.
it was, and it's not good enough to talk about how many good things it does right.
It does
Yeah.
have this moment. I thought it was in conversation with us almost, where it was like he goes, "Survive this," and I could just hear Jeremy's voice. He survives this.
I will say going into this, I was excited about the idea of Valiant is getting some of their properties on screen. I hope they don't stop because, I mean, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying continue this story necessarily, but they got like Archer and Armstrong, Exo Manowar. I mean, they've got a lot of cool comics. They were, I think in the 90s, I believe that's when they came out, where they were trying to compete with Marvel and DC and kind of create their own brand. It didn't go that great, but then they relaunched 10 years ago or so, and they've been fairly successful. They've been able to kind of create their own niche, and it's been really fun watching them do that and read the comics. And it's just kind of a nice different take on superheroes that we're not getting from Marvel and DC. And so that was the one thing that was kind of frustrating to me. Just like this didn't work as well as I wanted it to, because I want to see more. I want to see an Archer and Armstrong movie, and I want to see a bunch of Bloodshot movies, just not with Vin Diesel, apparently. But
Yeah. Let's go ahead and open up the floor to questions.
Oh, yeah.
Question.
Everybody, I have a question.
Just one more thing. I want the truth.
I know more than you.
All right.
Let's do
You
this
do
thing.
the pointing, Jeremy.
No, I don't want to be the pointer.
Okay, I'll be the pointer.
That was a good point. That was like,
Thank you.
it popped your elbow.
Pressure. Thank you.
I like your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
So I wanted to talk about the audio issues with this movie, because you guys have talked about how bad the script is, but there are multiple times you can obviously tell that they had to dub over lines. There's a couple points where Vin Diesel's talking, but his mouth isn't moving.
Nice.
Were you guys ever distracted by the dubbing or any of the
Hell
audio
yes.
problems?
There were several moments, and a lot of movies do this, I understand, but like this was a really particularly bad actor on this one, because somebody's talking and it cuts to a shot where the other person is still talking and the other guy's nodding, like
yeah.
you're saying something awesome. The you can see the person's mouth, and it's always just like they're sitting there going, like their mouth closed, and you're just like, what did you tell them to do during this reaction shot? You mean you're not talking during this thing? Like you're not saying anything?
It happened to me. It happened a lot with the wife character, where you could tell that just was not her voice. That they had another voice actress come in and like.
I'll tell you what,
over.
that is the most impatient little girl ever. Just go back and play, girl. Mommy's talking.
Oh yeah, but that's pretty normal.
I was gonna say that was real.
No, that was
real.
Validation.
You know
I'm
what,
just saying
Jeremy?
that kid said mommy 2 different times in like 30 seconds.
No, my wife will be clearly like having a very in-depth conversation with someone or being on the phone. My daughter doesn't give a shit.
The kid said
Nope,
mommy
not at all.
twice. That's amazing. That made me the best thing ever.
Oh my God! How many times my child screamed at me before I left today?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I was really annoyed by that kid.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
Cats don't do that.
No, they don't.
They do
Nope.
not. They do not.
Anyone else have a question? I did
You
it.
can do it. Yeah,
I'm
do
doing
the
it this time.
pointing.
Who do you think would have made a better lead character if not for instead of Vin Diesel?
It's a great
Well,
question.
you
That's
gotta.
a really good question.
Vin Diesel could play the character. You just. I mean, this is script level. I think this is and director. I mean, I think there's a lot of things here.
Tom Hardy,
Ben
yeah,
Foster.
I mean, but I don't.
Can we go comedy and do Ryan Reynolds or something? Like, I mean,
Well,
like,
it's
it's got to
make
be.
it fun?
I think the character needs to be big and beefy.
Oh, okay.
Like you can't put like Martin Freeman in there.
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, you can get anybody big. I mean, look at Kumail Nanjiani. I mean,
Yeah, you can make anybody look jacked, but that was the first thing. Well, I was actually thinking Joel Edgerton, and because in the movie Warrior, he and Tom Hardy are both pretty jacked. And then I thought of Tom Hardy.
Put The Rock in there. He'd have some fun with it.
But he
No,
can't act.
and he would
Neither
make.
can Vin.
And he
But
would.
that's the point. We're trying to make it good.
And he would make
But
it
he
about
makes it more
himself too.
fun.
I don't know. It's I think
Jai Courtney. Jai Courtney.
Is that fucking Jai Courtney?
And I think Vin can act. I mean, I think we've seen that in the past. He actually can act. He just can't now.
Acting is not acting.
No, it's not even that. Like I'm talking like Boiler Room and Find Me Guilty, and I mean he's good as Riddick. Like the first Pitch Black movie, he's good in that. I don't know.
Great in the Iron Giant.
I don't know if he could act in this. I couldn't think of his name, so I had to look him up. But Kellen Lutz really looks the part. He was in Twilight. He was like one of the brothers in Twilight. He's been in a bunch of like direct-to-video movies with like Bruce Willis and people like that. But I don't know. He's in the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I don't know how great of an actor he'd be in the part, but he looks that part. So.
Yep.
Any suggestions?
I just did a Google search for beefy muscular actors, so just give me a minute.
You need a second to yourself.
There's a lot of really great options here. I'm just saying. Who's next?
So I had 2 comments and I had a question at the end of it. To answer your question early, I think that the entire film's supposed to be reconstructed memories. So because even at the mission that they're going and getting the one hostage, they're changing stuff in that room.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think that everything that we're seeing is simulation.
I agree.
Oh,
and some of it's memory that he's just being fed so that he then goes and has motivation to kill the next guy.
So we have no context whatsoever
About
his real life before
No,
he died.
and that's
Exactly.
a problem. I think that's a problem because that's. I mean, like he's saying, some of it could be real, some of it couldn't, but they're not going to bother to tell you, and so that takes away from the story.
Yeah. And then as far as the people in the lab not sure what to do, they're saying that he's wanting to send Vin Diesel out to kill all these guys because they helped write the code. So he's sending them all out, or he's sending Vin Diesel out to kill those guys. So they're waiting to go to market so that they can own the entire project. So I
there's
think
a
that's
big payday coming.
So there's a big payday, which is I think why they're like, we don't want to let this happen, but we're also going to pay out. So.
And they fear for their lives because everybody who goes rogue
Would
gets
you
killed.
let me die for $30 million?
No.
Whoa.
I think they're partly saving
that an
their lives
offer?
That was
because
fast.
maybe they don't know what they're getting into initially.
Well, that's
and then once
where I
they
thought he
find
was
out-
going, was
yeah.
that they're afraid he's going to send Vin Diesel after them if
That's
they
what I
say
thought,
something.
too, yeah.
It also becomes like a cult, right? Where you just have somebody who you admire and he's done all these amazing things and everything, and these people work for him, and he's been fine up until this point, but now it's getting close to the
You're like, I want to leave, but this girl that has a breathing apparatus is really hot.
Yeah, exactly. I think I may still have a chance with her.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
all 6 inches of me.
Right.
But I guess the last question, or the last thing I have that becomes a question is, I think the biggest problem with this film is that we find out that his wife is already, moved on, not dead, but either way, not going to be in his life. So he has no stakes. He either dies, which he doesn't care because he's already willing to kill himself over anything anyways. So what do you think would have given some sort of stakes so that we actually care whether or not he did explode and, couldn't be saved at the end?
I don't know. I was thinking when he talks to her at the doorway and you find out it's been 5 years, I was pretty sure Guy Pearce was going to send somebody after her by the climax of the movie, and Vin would still be trying to save her even though she wasn't his lady anymore. That didn't happen. I don't know if that would have been better, but that's what I was pretty sure was going to happen.
I think the stakes could have been personal freedom. I think there's a real theme there that they could have locked into on the idea of feeling controlled. And I'm feeling like your life isn't your own and that you're always being controlled by your job or your boss or your whatever. Like, there's a connecting point there that we've all felt in one way or another of, man, my life isn't my own. And if they could have found a way to, underline those theme points throughout the movie, that could have been his motivating factor in his stakes.
Yeah, or even
just finding his own life.
Remove the memories that were false, so he wasn't haunted with someone that he loved being murdered over and over and over again.
What's real, what's not, what am I making up myself? Like, that's connective stuff. It's not interested in that.
Even though Guy Pearce was typecast in this thing, do any of you think that they might have wanted to get him because it's another movie where there's a guy whose memory is being erased so that he can go out and commit revenge time and time again?
Yeah, I did think you mentioned this at the end of the screening last night, and I thought that was really good actually because it does seem like he's sort of, it's almost like they're making the weird Memento sequel. They actually are remaking Memento, aren't they? Yeah. They're like doing the weird remake of Memento, and they're like, well, we got to get the original guy in here to play somebody.
And he's going to be the one wiping the memories.
Yeah, he's the one wiping the memories. Although it's still him that wants these people killed, and it's always a different person. Because his memory is always going to change of who he needs to kill.
Yeah.
I made a note that said, is Guy Pearce the next Nicolas Cage? Because he sure says yes a lot.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the last time I saw Guy Pearce in a movie that I went, this movie's good and so is he.
The space prison one, right?
What?
The space prison one.
You like that?
Lockout?
Yeah.
Lockout, yeah.
That movie's terrible, and I love it.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. That movie is insane to me. Like and they got sued, and they should have gotten sued because that is an insane ripoff of Escape from New York. I mean, my God. Anyways, go ahead. I forgot about that movie.
I love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's bad. Anyway, I just feel like he's starting to slip into this. I'll take whatever paycheck you offer me kind of territory.
Yeah.
Like, as an actor, I'm
you
not
still
sure.
see it though. Like
when you're a working actor, though, it's like that's got to be kind of common ground, right? It's like if I can get paid to do acting, like I
really can't, be upset about that.
Right?
These people, a lot of them have no vanity to them, so they're like, if I can get in a movie and do what I like, and I'm 6 movies a year, and
he's in Bedtime Stories, right? The Adam Sandler movie.
I put that movie out of my head. I don't remember. I don't even remember Adam Sandler being in that movie.
I'm pretty sure he's like the bad guy in that movie.
Movie's terrible.
Oh yeah, it was awful. But I just remember I was like, Guy Pearce is in this. Of course, Al Pacino's in Jack and Jill.
But the fact that you even brought it up makes me believe that he's in it. Yeah.
Adam Sandler's another great one to talk about. Dude's living his life, making the kind of movies he wants to make, and a lot of people think they're awful, but they're continue to make money and do well for net. You know what I mean? Like there's this thing.
Well, there's a difference though in that at one point in time, Guy Pearce was considered like an actor, and Adam Sandler never was.
Yeah. I mean, occasionally he'll have a movie every few years.
Now it's flipped. Now Adam Sandler's the actor.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Guy Pearce is in Bloodshot.
Another question.
Now you got a
pointer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you on Discord?
I've seen Isaac. Why don't we do Isaac? Back in the back there.
Danae's still looking at men.
No, she really is. It's locked.
I was attempting to. Of course, it's locked.
I saw Mark Wahlberg. That's all I know.
I was trying to figure out.
What you looking at, bro?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he would have been good.
All right. So did anybody else get frustrated with the idea of the technology they were using? Because for Vin Diesel, the blood is supposed to be nanites or whatever, but he's still skin and bones, right? Like, how is he? No. Because when they drained him and then put it back in, like, they didn't replace his frame or whatever, right?
No, they say that he, like, everything about him is nanites.
Everything is nanites?
Yeah.
Well,
I thought it was blood too.
Even his soul.
Is your blood, not that it's in his blood. So like, makes
Yeah.
you understand that like everything about him is nanites.
It was not clearly explained. I
and
don't
like
think.
Iron Lung Lady, like, could be underwater forever, right? And then it seemed
Mm-hmm.
like when he closed it off, she's like gasping for air through her mouth. Like, it just, the technology didn't seem to like make sense.
The part that bothered me the very most is when he decided to cut his hand and put the nanites into the little container and give it away, but then so those won't try to get back to his body in that moment, but then if he's dying, then they try to get back to the body.
Does his body make more to replace those?
Yeah, there was a lot of confusing technology.
Right.
And there's also confusion, like, why did they flush the old and then put in new? Is it because they, like, run out of energy? And
Yes, that was the percentage I think we're supposed to believe is the energy of the nanites and what they're able to do.
I kept expecting, did you ever see, what's that Denzel Russell Crowe? Virtuosity. So Russell Crowe is a digital villain, and he gets out into the real world in a body. But he's made of this like shit. So whenever like he cuts off his hand, he just has to find glass, and it just rebuilds this. I kept expecting that to happen.
Yeah.
Like his nanites would get low on power, and he'd like touch a TV and like.
Well, I mean, that is the biggest intellectual stumbling block for the idea of nanotechnology. Iron Man has the same thing with his suit. Is like things still can't come from nothing.
Right.
Like you know, so there has to be material somewhere that they're building bone and muscle and all that out of. And but
the idea that it was reducing, I mean, that's like the kryptonite thing, right? I mean, he's got to have a weakness, or you know, he's just one's going to be able to
supposed to believe. So at the end, when he tries to cut off her air supply again, and she goes, like, I would let you do that again. Are we supposed to believe that, like, Wiggin, like, hacked that thing?
Yeah.
Because she meets up with him.
But they didn't spell it out, right?
Correct.
No, she we thought she killed him, but she just
But this is another thing. This is the stuff that I hate about movies where they try to make things surprises that don't need to be.
Yeah.
She meets up with him. Obviously, they talk about what their plan is and how he's going to hack in and all that. And then later on, when, you know, Guy Pearce is like futilely trying to make her not breathe anymore, it's like, aha, Wiggins must have hacked it. But like, there's no reason to not just have that conversation and say, because we don't need that as a surprise. There's nothing that's.
That was another thing with KT that cared, but that scene though that I liked, that I thought they could have done more with. I like the idea, like her, like the way she uses her ability is that like gassing the room so no one else can come in there.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
I love that. Well, if they hadn't said that line in the beginning about that makes her immune to aerosols or whatever, which I thought was a stupid line at the time. But
Or that laced cigarette. That was interesting.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
other questions on the movie?
I don't know why.
Did you say bibbity boopop?
I don't.
In the spirit of a Danae rant, I want to rant, and I want to ask you guys, who was upset about the lack of originality in this movie? Okay, you have Doc Ock with the arms. You've got Iron Man with the glowy thing in the chest. You've got the regeneration like the T-1000. You've got nanites from iRobot. I mean...
Yeah.
Is this really what we had, you know, was this the best they have to offer for a franchise like this?
Well, and again, if the movie had made that stuff the background and his journey the foreground, we would have cared less about that. But the movie chose to make all that the focal point, which is, like I said, I called him Iron Spider at the end when he has those arms with the... I mean, I think it was pretty unoriginal. That elevator fight, God, I could go 10 years without seeing somebody fighting on top of an elevator, and I'd be fine.
It's interesting, though, because this has been going on with comics ever since Marvel and DC started. Because, I mean, you know, DC has Challengers of the Unknown. Stan Lee creates Fantastic Four. And, you know, you have Green Arrow and Hawkeye. And, you know, I mean, that's not, I guess that doesn't bother me. It's just more like it comes down to the characters themselves and motivation.
It's the way that the movie is, that the story is written.
Yeah. There you go.
If the story had been written differently, I think it would have been.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I know what you're saying.
It's like you hear in music. Nobody's invented a new note.
Yeah.
in hundreds of thousands of years. You know what I mean? But people have invented new
I
stuff.
have. This movie.
Would you like to hear it?
No.
No, this movie was copying Iron Man. I think Frank tweeted something about Iron Man 4, right? Yeah. No, this movie was clearly trying to copy that. They didn't have to though. Because
Right.
I never think of Iron Man when I'm reading the comic.
Well, and I don't think the Bloodshot comic feels as rip-offy as the movie ended up feeling.
It
because
doesn't.
the people making the movie had to movieize it.
Yeah.
Anytime you can think of more than 10 movies that this movie.
Oh yeah, bad, right?
It's just the way it goes.
Probably
it's
is
like,
a problem.
It's like that. What was that? What was the one about the? I can't think of it. Just forget it.
I will.
Was it Cats? Because they ripped off Cats too, right?
Forgotten.
Somebody had a question over here. Yep. Go ahead. All the way from Alabama.
So basically, whenever movies like this come out, we've had a few in the past, of course, like they was just saying, but there were some characters that kind of stood out. Like you, of course, had Wiggins, and I think KT was very underused. Mm-hmm. It's a bit of a stretch, but like the Thor movies, they didn't get good until the third one. Do you guys think there's any redeeming stuff in here to like maybe make a sequel that could possibly make this stand out more
I don't
going
think
forward?
Vin Diesel would let them do that. So as long as he's involved, I think that's your problem. Because
Let them do what?
I think he's got an ego, and I just think he's going to do it the way he wants to do it. I don't know that he's listening to other people. And
Well, because he's a producer, right? But
Yeah.
is he choosing the director, you think?
he could be. The Rock does that.
If it's it was a first-time director, I guarantee you he chose the director.
And the difference between Thor and this, even though Thor, I agree with you, it didn't really get good until that third one, was Kenneth Branagh directed the first one versus David S. Pumpkins.
Well, and even further than that, they have
got Corona, man.
and they have
Some
Kevin
respect.
Feige. I don't know if I don't know if Valiant is thinking that far ahead. Marvel brought in Feige to oversee everything, so that I think that more than anything, has a lot to do with
Vin
it.
Diesel is the Feige of this movie,
And that's not going to work.
It's not a good role for him.
If they do bring somebody like Feige in, like if they brought a Joss Whedon in and said, "Here, take these Valiant properties and do your thing," maybe. But
I think you get one try at this for a property like this.
Yeah, I
and
think
if this
you do.
doesn't fly, there's not another one.
And maybe they'll do a TV show or something down the road.
I think we just wait because did you guys ever see Triple X? Because it came out, it was pretty shitty, terrible. Everybody forgot about it.
Yeah.
Then a few years later, they made a sequel with Ice Cube.
Yeah.
Then 8 years later, Vin Diesel made another one. So I don't think the box office or the reviews can tell us whether or not there'll be a
And we
Bloodshot.
might be getting a Last
you're right.
Witch Hunter 2.
Yeah, well, he is making the Last Witch Hunter 2.
Yeah,
Also,
and another Riddick movie.
considering all the big movies that are moving back now and everything, and these movies that we're seeing now are getting a full free reign at the theater.
Bloodshot make $100 million in 2 weeks.
Yeah. The question is, will they be smart enough to realize if it makes $100 million that it was because of that, not because of it being awesome? You know.
Yeah. Well,
I can't figure out what movie studios are thinking.
That theater was empty, though.
I was going to say, Bloodshot's not going to make a bunch of money. Movie theaters are going to go under. That's much
if that
more
was
likely.
a Friday night, that place should have been, especially concessions. You guys all got in and went right up to the concession line. That place should have had 20 people in each line.
And AMC announced, I know Regal's doing this. AMC, I got an email from AMC because I'm a Stubbs member. They're both doing the 50% capacity. That's going to limit tickets too.
Yep.
But the truth is, I can't remember the last time I went to an opening night movie, and I go almost every week where it was more than 50% full anyway. People aren't going to movies.
No, where I live, it's insanely packed.
Yeah.
It's your turn to point.
Yeah, I saw that hand come up immediately. So
Your turn to point.
Just given the podcast for this movie, it occurred to me because I was scrolling through the SinCast stuff. I didn't see one for 1917. Was that in the planning or?
We never did a mini pod.
No, what happened was I made it a recommend, and Chris had seen it, so we talked about it on a regular episode for about 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've had a couple people ask on Twitter if we're going to do one, and I just directed them to that episode and said, we talked about it there.
Yeah, and
Chris and I had discussed doing one, but Chris said you guys had already talked about it, so that's why we decided not to do one.
But that movie rules.
That movie was your top of last year?
No, it was in my top 5.
It was in the top
Knives
5.
Out was my top of last year, yeah.
I think it's in my top 3 of last year, and it's up there with you guys.
It's in my top. It's in my top 10 for sure.
It's better than I thought it was going to be, even though it got insanely hyped, and that never happens. It went in different places, even though I knew about the one-shot concept. It went in different places that I didn't expect, especially from a traditional war movie. Yeah, it's good. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's good.
It's good.
Sudden Cumberbatch.
No, that's a movie that has lots of people in it.
I know.
1917.
Every time
they hired a lot of guys.
Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
To the back
guy
row.
who played Tommen in Game of Thrones.
To the back row.
It was that guy.
Tommen.
So since we're talking about the virus, do we think that with all the movies that are getting pushed back, could 2020 end up having like the best end of year in movies in decades? So if you
No,
just push
because when they all
of it?
Sorry, you're not even done talking.
Oh no, that was it. That was it. So what happened?
No, because they're all going to compete with each other when they do come back in. This is why Fast and Furious 12 pushed to 2021 of spring, because so many have pushed to late summer or fall. It's going to be overcrowded, so you're just oversaturated.
I think some of these movies will go to next year.
Well, and plus the movies that are moving back are not like paragons of quality or anything like that.
Yeah.
They're just, they're just big blockbuster movies. And I think all the other stuff that's getting made now, there may be some sort of problem with some of these big movies getting pushed back because other movies that thought they had a nice spot are going to have to move back.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I've seen a lot of years where like just an incredible amount of great movies came out in December. I don't know if you can even top some of the years that have that have already happened. Actually,
well, they can still only release so many movies. So I mean, what's going to happen is like I think a lot of these movies, not a lot, but I think there's going to be a decent amount moving to 2021, like Fast and Furious, and especially with global markets. Although I don't really know what's going on. I heard China was opening some theaters again and stuff, so I don't know what's going on there, but I think that has a lot to do with Fast and Furious, and especially Disney, because I mean, Mulan not opening in China, and they have a horrible pirating problem. They could lose upwards of $1 billion.
I think it's going to be interesting to see the streaming. There's going to be so much more streaming. People
they
go
just
onto
announced
Twitch.
Frozen 2 is coming to Disney Plus way early.
3 months early.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, this weekend, Sunday. I think
But-
it is tomorrow. Yeah.
It's the perfect time to tell your friends about
that
Cinemasins.
other things that are shooting right now have stopped production.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
There's
and that's
many
another
different
reason
things.
stuff will move to 2021 because
Yeah.
these movies aren't going to be able to release when they were supposed to. There's movies that are supposed to release at the end of this year that have stopped production. I mean, I guess it depends on what we're doing.
They're just doing this wait and see thing. I mean, yeah, sure, they're saying, "Oh, we're pushing this back," but they don't know where to put it yet.
No.
Yeah, who's to say, late summer is going to be long enough?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be able to go see all these movies in the fall because I'm going to be watching the NHL games they're making up.
That's true. That's very true.
Go ahead. Yep.
Watching baseball in December. They're just like freezing their asses off.
So my question is, if any of you guys lost a bet with any of you guys, which would be the worst or the most uncomfortable movie to watch with your parents?
Maniac Volume 1?
Yeah.
Mine would
Human
be
Centipede?
Mine would be blue is the warmest color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
Hey, all right. So Blue is the Warmest Color is a great movie. Honestly, it's a relationship movie. It's the ups and downs, the passion and the downfall of a relationship, and it's a beautiful, terrific movie. Léa Seydoux is fantastic. It has a very extended sex scene in it that's very graphic. Graphic in terms of they're not shying away from anything. And it's perfectly put in that movie. It's wonderful to watch, not only pervily, but also in the context of that movie. Having said that, that would be the worst one, definitely, to watch with your parents.
Well, especially if you know the context and how uncomfortable those two women were making that movie.
Yeah.
And how they kind of regretted some of that stuff later on. I've told this story before. I was actually watching Training Day with my wife. This was before we were married, and her dad walks in, and it's right at the scene where Denzel takes Ethan Hawke to the Hispanic gang house, and they're playing cards, and they start giving Ethan Hawke a hard time because Denzel's gone, and so one guy's like, "Hey, you like having your shit packed in? You like having your shit packed in?" And like her dad is standing right above me, and I'm like, "I swear to God, this is a good movie. Like this is not like, oh, please don't."
It's fucking Dr. Dre.
Please don't ban your daughter from dating me. But yeah, no, I think anything with graphic nudity would probably be top of the list.
Yeah, I guess that's the main thing. I I don't know. In-laws is actually maybe even a little worse, just because like I don't know. My mom and I could like laugh stuff off, whereas if it was like me and my mother-in-law and like Blue is the Warmest Color came on, that'd be a little.
She'd be like, "Let me get you a beer, John."
Yeah. I've never seen Human Centipede. I'm still going with Human Centipede. I can't imagine. I can't imagine that would be a pleasant movie. I can't imagine that'd be a pleasant day for me and my mom watching people in each other's asses. I just don't. Yeah, that's true.
I think of a movie
like
Short Bus. Which
that's a good one.
It's got heterosexual sex. It's got homosexual sex. It's got all sorts of stuff, and it's real. It's like actual real
That
sex.
orgy scene is fucked up, man.
Is that John Cameron Mitchell?
Yeah.
Because like the Caligula orgy scene is coordinated.
Oh, Caligula. That's a good one.
Yeah, I mean,
that'd be a
just
weird
a
one.
bad.
I mean, you saw that. You saw that with your parents when you were 5. That was fine.
That's right.
The Caligula orgy looks like a Roman orgy. Like, yeah, it's explicit and it's got stuff and things and semen. But like,
yeah.
But the Short Bus one is like everybody's on top of each other. Like they're all. I don't know if they
it's
know
like the
whose
Halsey
dick they're
video.
Sucking,
Is it like the Halsey video?
Yeah,
like the barn
it's in
scene.
a barn. But it's just.
I know. I want these sex scenes to be more clear, so I know whose dick is getting sucked.
It's the Marvel action scene of sex scenes.
It really is. There's too much cutting, man.
Going back and forth.
Everything wrong.
Spatial awareness.
Oh man, I hope we do everything wrong with Short Bus.
Yeah.
Maybe Bowling for Columbine. Anything politics, it's some weird.
I'm just gonna say ditto.
Oh my God,
happiness. That's
Holy
an answer.
shit.
Yeah.
You shouldn't watch happiness in front of anyone.
What about storytelling?
Storytelling, yeah. I mean, that's
that
what
another-
immediately I thought. Like
Happiness-
as soon as they said that, I was
Happiness
like,
is the one I always go to. Like that's the one great, what I would consider a great movie that I would never recommend to a soul.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think storytelling's great.
Oh no, I don't either.
Happiness, I could see the quality,
is a really,
even
really
though
good
they're both
movie.
disturbing
Great
as hell.
acting and.
Is that another the same guy that did
Todd Solondz.
Yeah, it's Todd Solondz. Welcome to
Todd Solondz,
Dollhouse.
yeah.
Welcome to Dollhouse is pretty rough too.
Hi.
Hello. Until the movie started last night, I had a tiny bit of hope it was going to be Jeremy's cut of Passengers. I was hoping you could give us an update on how that's going, and also if you have any plans on making a Go Gay for Gandalf 2.
No, God, no. That was so much fun making that music video. That day was a blast. Probably not. My musical endeavors have not gone over well with the fans of Cinemasins. As far as what was the other question?
Passengers.
Passengers. So first of all, if I were to show Passengers to a group of people, it would never happen in a movie theater, and it could not happen within the scheduled confines of a paid event. I would be breaking the law if I were to show it to you right now. I'm probably not going to go to jail for it, but it's not the kind of law breaking I like to do. Originally, what I wanted to do was after we were done today at Dave & Buster's was turn to all you guys and say, now that Sin Week is over, let's go back to Made In and I'll show you this movie for free. But I didn't get it done in time because I actually had it done. My hard drive crashed. I lost it. I had to start over and I haven't completed it again. Maybe next year. I would love to show it to people because I really think that movie is good if you just rearrange some of it.
And I have seen the rough cut of that.
Yes, you have.
Passengers, the space movie, 2016. I know, and the other one is even worse than the Chris Pratt one.
Yes, it is. Yes,
that
it
one
is.
can't be saved with editing.
Anne Hathaway.
Yeah.
But no, Jeremy has what I think is the right idea to fix this movie. There's only so much you can do with this movie, but you'll like it if you ever see it.
Well, there I have hopes. There you go. Yeah. I just not done yet.
Yeah.
And now we're all going to ask you questions. So, no, I'm just kidding. Any other questions?
One or two more, Louise?
But I want to give a shout out to Jen with her rant of us being split up into 2 cinemas.
Yeah, my wife can rant. That is true.
I am going in that theater.
That was exactly
What was the
it.
rant? I got to
witness that.
And I said, you have to talk to corporate office. They're not going to change the rules for us.
What was the rant?
She just was mad that
she
they
was
split us
not
up.
having it last night that we were in 2.
Okay.
Okay, there were a couple rants about the movie theater. One, they had Reese's Pieces in the case, but they would not give Danae some Reese's Pieces because they said they were out.
What?
They said they were out. And I said, they're right there. And then we talked about this morning. They're probably like 10 years old.
they're
so that
displayed.
probably wouldn't have been a good idea. But the whole thing about us having to split into 2 theaters, and I apologize, Aaron, because we should have been in the theater that had no previews. But I said, no, I'm going into that one with Danae and Justin. But
How dare
I said,
you do that to me?
I did rant. I said, we have been in the same room all day long. Why can we not be in the same room watching a movie? It was ridiculous. And Aaron said, Chris already fought that battle. And I said, but he didn't have me there to tell him, this is what we're going to do. Although I don't think I would have been able to.
Well, you were on the verge of just going into the other theater and saying, guys, we're all going to this theater, and just ignoring the
And Ashley was the one standing there. That's who she was kind of yelling at. Like, she doesn't work at the theater.
So, no, I knew that. And I did apologize to Ashley. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to make waves. She's like, I'm just trying to follow the rules.
This is your classic
That was my
movie
rant.
theater cover your half-ass
Yes.
type of thing, because it doesn't do anything. There's nothing, come on. Yeah,
Right.
we still-
Yes. Yeah. That'd be. Oh, and
I was
that's
on
the other
Chris's
thing.
lap. I mean,
I told Justin. I said,
I mean,
so you're
we
going
were
to have
like
to
rubbing
move
each
2
other the
seats.
whole time. It didn't matter.
I couldn't even tell who was on who. and-
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't know where-
Dick was in where.
Yeah, you didn't know where Jonathan began and I ended.
Yeah.
Aaron
We
drank out of
reenacted
my
short
water
bus while
bottle.
watching Bloodshot.
I will say, those Reese's Pieces in the case are probably 8 years old.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to eat those.
But they
Yeah.
probably should have moved them if they didn't have any more. Like, why not take them out?
They didn't know that
They
it
don't
was
have
there.
a key. Those workers don't have a key to that
Oh,
case.
They didn't know that was there.
One more question?
One
Nice.
more. I think we need one more. It's all
Your
you.
hands back there. You're the only
Yeah,
hand.
you're the only one.
Just
Making sure. This is kind of a broad question, and I want you guys to interpret it however you want to.
So for Danae?
Uh,
Sorry, that was
for everybody.
really bad. That was really
Oh, my
bad.
God.
That was,
Wow.
I apologize. Yeah.
2 podcasts
I don't feel
in a
so
row,
bad
man.
about quoting Welcome to the Dollhouse anymore. Thank you.
So who in Hollywood just needs to shut the hell up? There you go.
Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Everyone! Is this an easier question if we say who doesn't?
I know, it is,
Tom Hanks is
actually.
a lovely man.
I would be happy if Sean Penn never talked again.
I'm going to go
answer.
Trump.
In Hollywood?
Because he's kind of a crossover, right?
Sure,
I
sure,
mean,
he was
he
on
had a
reality
reality
shows.
TV show.
He's in Home Alone 2.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, okay.
There's a couple. I'm gonna go to Twitter and remind.
Are you looking
myself.
up beefy guys again?
I don't like pay much attention to stuff people are
I
saying
don't
anyway,
either.
so I don't even know who's saying things that need to shut up.
Well, Kanye's not an actor, but he needs to shut up.
Can I ask a question though? When did James Woods become like full villain
He
mode?
needs to shut up. When he got a lot of attention on Twitter for it, I think.
He had a reputation for being a bit of a dick back in his heyday, right?
Yeah.
But like not super dick, right? He still got leading man jobs.
He
still did the
all
hard
right.
way.
He's been a dick for a really long time.
Have you ever read anything about him and what's her name?
Oh, was it Sean Young?
Yeah, have you read anything about him and Sean Young from the late 80s?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, look that up. He's been an awful person
Yeah,
for
I
a
mean,
long
it's just-
time.
But he still needs to shut up.
Yeah, he definitely needs to shut up.
But like, I'm pretty much firm in the fact that most people should probably shut up. But
It's interesting because I think I'm actually the like I talk all you want. Like it doesn't. I don't know.
It doesn't affect
It
anything.
doesn't affect.
I
Like,
agree with that.
Pretty much nothing offends you, though.
No, but not offend even. No, and you're right. I think offense is a waste of energy a lot of times. But I mean,
fuck you.
But no, you're right. Somebody
you're good.
being a
You're good.
dick is not. It's not affecting me.
It doesn't affect me, is
Yeah.
what I said. Not offend. Affect. Like I just don't. If you would disagree with me on something, say what you believe.
But I think trying to make a point on Twitter is just worthless. There's
Well,
no.
and like
there's
Joaquin
no
got
reason.
a lot of flack, right? Like Joaquin got a lot of
Yeah.
flack this year with his award speeches. Progressively
Just the
got
last
more
one,
and more,
yeah.
and, whatever. And I'm just like, let the dude say what he wants to say, and then move on with your life. I don't know. It doesn't. I like free speech. I'm a huge
just
free speech guy.
aesthetically, though, I wished he had just stuck to
Yes.
the movie
No, I get it.
rather
I
than
get it.
like let's talk about cabs for a second.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
In the most graphic way possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird.
But
so
I
anyway.
immediately went to Twitter and found someone that I loved, so I failed. Sorry about that. But there is a really good voice, Jamila. she's
Yeah.
incredible.
From
She's
The Good Place.
She's annoying a lot of people and having a good time doing it, but also getting so much flack, tons
you're
and
talking
tons
about
of
Tahani?
hate.
So what does she do? You've
She's
mentioned this
awesome.
before. What is she? I don't follow her. What does she do?
She calls out companies who do the diet drinks and stuff, which is essentially just making young girls
I'm
or really
listening.
anyone just
No. This is like detox and stuff like
just
that.
poop
like
themselves all day.
Yeah.
It's a diarrhea thing, and it's really, really unhealthy, and it's completely unregulated. So she's a huge,
Unregular.
huge. They're making it's funny.
No, not really.
Okay, as someone who has
so-
like pretty severe like stomach problems, I have never lost weight. So this is really pissing me off.
But anyhow, so she calls people out. She's also super great about talking about her own life experiences, and she just is super honest and transparent.
That's
like
awesome.
she just posted a video of her little arm wobbliness, just to kind of like, hey, this is normal, or refusing to be photoshopped, and has little muffin sections of her body, just like we all do. And so I don't know. I love her, but she pisses a lot of people
If we're
off.
talking about people we love, I love Chrissy Teigen on Twitter, and even though she says some pretty rude shit sometimes, but like that, she's great. Like she can brighten your day up so quickly because she is not afraid, and but sometimes maybe she's calling Jay Moore's baby ugly or the name stupid or whatever, but that's not nice. But there's so much good that comes out of that. It's, I don't know. Not
I think the reason why I say everyone is because the original point eventually gets a landslide of comments
Absolutely.
and things, and people who shouldn't be amplified start getting amplified from that, and so it sort of creates this mushroom cloud of just nonsense.
Yeah, and so much of it
bullshit.
is purposefully divisive too.
And for the love of God, quit retweeting stuff that you don't agree with.
Right.
It,
Yeah, I don't
oh
get
my
that.
God, that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I think about the guy who sings the Pepto jingle in the commercial.
Ooh, yeah.
And how happy he sounds when he sings diarrhea. I think about that a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's in a recording studio and there's a director and they're like, I need the word diarrhea to be a little more happy when you sing it because we're curing that diarrhea. We're not bringing it. And so he sings upset stomach diarrhea.
And can you say it sexier?
And how big are the residual checks he gets every time that commercial airs?
Good question.
And does he walk around the house with the diarrhea song stuck in his head?
Probably.
He walks around his summer home and says, the diarrhea commercial paid for all this.
I love that you think that session singers have residuals on
when he gets a check for 30 cents.
They weren't given $50 to come in for a
When
day
he's
and just
when he's
sing.
closing off the West Wing for the winter, he's thinking diarrhea.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this mini-pod.
Bloody pod.
Of Bloodshot. Not as robust as the Us mini-pod that was. Like, last year, man, that movie had so many things to talk about.
Had so much to say.
That's why it's so disappointing this year. I mean, it's you're gonna take your chances with the when we schedule these things, and you don't know what's coming out.
We can't control it.
We had fun as a unit,
Yeah.
yes, but anyway, yes, that's right, 2 units, correct.
Dang it.
I know. Thanks, Jen. Anyway, what did you think about this movie? Go to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook. We're also on Cinemasins Twitter, Music Video Sins Twitter. We're also on SoundCloud. We're on Discord. If you want to get on Discord, you can go to our Reddit page and go to the right side of the page and get a link there, or you can go to the Facebook page and go and private message me there. I will give you a link from there. Where else can people find you lovely people?
Behind the Sins is on Twitter, Cinemasins BTS, and you can find me at Danae Says on Twitter.
At Aaron Dicer on Twitter, and all my movie stuff is at siftpop.com. That's siftpop with a T.
At Sam Loomis 13 on Twitter, and that's about it.
And also, I've quit Twitter. No, just kidding. All right, well, that'll do it for this Sin Week mini-pod of Bloodshot. It's Chris Atkinson, Jeremy Scott, Barrett Scher, Jonathan Watkins, Aaron Dicer, and Danae Hughes. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
if you're
Thumbs
playing
up.
skee ball, don't lick for
Don't
balls.
lick the ball.
But,
This should have been. I wish I had known about this. This should have been my rant yesterday. I've gotten in the last 36 hours maybe 200 emails from any place I have ever fucking visited, telling me that they're gonna try not to give me coronavirus. I assumed that's the case. You don't have to send me a fucking email.
I like how TPAC, the Performing Arts Center, sent me an email saying, here is our cleaning policy, so you're aware we're on top of this. So 12 hours later, we're shutting down for a month.
Yeah. Anybody have pressing questions for...
He's going to bring the mic over, too.
Yeah, we'll get the mic out here.
Or comments or anything.
Oh, my other favorite... My other favorite cheesy line was, he's a dead soldier. America makes more every day.
Wow.
This movie, man.
It has a little bit better than normal.
Hang tight. We're not getting any audio right now.
Oh,
so
well, that's okay.
We are recording it, I think, but it's not on
Is
the
audio
stream.
recording? Okay, so we have the audio recording, but the stream's not getting the audio right now. Okay. All right. How do we want to proceed?
I think we should mime.
Checking his phone.
Well, my mom, even though she knows I'm in the middle of doing it, she's just deciding to text me and making sure I'm not sick.
You left your house key there, so no,
that was your mom.
Oh, sorry.
Well, no, I'm saying it said your mom. Also, speaking of which,
that was fucking rad.
There was a moment in
Who's in everything now?
in the previews where it was like a movie and there was people in hazmat suits.
Oh, lovely.
And so it's like the world thought that this was what was happening, but really it was. And then there's this pause, and Louise and I go, the coronavirus.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
booty
you
sweat.
did say you went, yeah.
It's made by Al Pacino.
Booty sweat.
So that was the adult store you went to as the Lions Den? And you bought a 12-pack of pussy?
Yep.
Bloodshot. It is Bloodshot.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
It's
it is
KT,
Bloodshot.
not Katie.
That's right.
KT.
Initials don't.
I said KT, not Katie.
You guys know it says live in 7 hours. Yeah, they know.
We're aware, Chris. Stop being a dick.
Live.
Just tell me.
I will tell you.
Maiden.
Live from a bunker.
In the heart of Maiden. It's CinemaSins.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thanks for coming back. Love you all again. As a big fan of the laugh track, Chris is going to tell us a joke.
No,
and
we're-
all
no,
of you.
I'm not.
Okay, Chris is not.
I will do no such thing, sir.